Hey friends, it's the Circle of Hope Pastors again. It's been really fun to do these someone asked video casts. We're asking the questions that people are asking us. We're trying to answer them. And today, I guess in honor of Memorial Day, which just happened on Monday, the question that we're answering, that we get asked sometimes, or at least some form of it, is, did the soldiers, as in the American soldiers, the U.S. soldiers, really give me freedom? So let's talk about that. Rod, get us going, will you?
Well, I think that the initial answer is, well, in some ways, yes, because they help the United States dominate the world, and that makes us free from any kind of enemies that would steal our political freedom and our dominance. Yeah, so in that sense, yes, but we're Christians, and so we have to look at it another way because if you actually think that the soldier gave you freedom, then I think that you're saying that Jesus didn't give you freedom. And so there is a real contest. It is amazing how often we talk about this because people are so indoctrinated. They're actually going to believe that the new reframe of the Iraq war that the perpetrators are trying to get us all to believe is actually true, so that they can have the sense that, no, every time our soldiers take action, it's for your freedom. And we have to make sure that that's something you believe in. So it's a really big issue for us. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
I like how you
Joshua, what
come.
would you add?
Well, I would agree with everything Rod said, and I think one component to Memorial Day is it's part of this American civil religion that has its rituals and its songs and its leaders, and I think to me it helps to even think about it as a civil religion where acknowledging the sacrifice of soldiers, even though that's not the history of Memorial Day, even that they somehow, because they were, the warrior class that was out there, that our sense of ability to live without oppression is due to them. But I would even doubt that we live without oppression. Like the sense of freedom that Americans think they have really isn't that free anyway.
It is an interesting point you're making about civil religion. Even some of the language that we use even comes from Jesus when he says there's no greater love than laying down your life for your friend. This is the idea that a lot of soldiers have. It doesn't really matter what the cause is. It's hard to even know what the cause is sometimes. But I'm on the battlefield, and I know my friend right here who is threatened. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to save him, even if it means laying down my life. And that ideology is attractive. I think that's why Christianity is a faith we should follow, and Jesus, a savior that we should follow, because he really did lay down his life for us, and he really did save us. Just because somebody takes that idea and uses it and reappropriates it in a different way, I think we need to be conscious of that. That's what's happening.
Yeah, a long time ago, the United States took on the narrative that you're talking about that said that God made our country to give other people freedom. We are free from the oppression of the European monarchies and the crazy aristocracy, and democracy, capitalism, and the whole system will actually give a new birth of freedom into the world. And they definitely saw it as their Christian calling to bring that to everybody. So there's a huge myth that goes with this. It's really hard to decouple from, because we're really all hooked into it, and it gets reinforced all the time. I used to go to a Baptist church when I was a kid, and one man would always start out the prayer saying, "Thank you, God, for the freedom that I have to make this prayer in this country that essentially the soldier has given me so that I can have freedom of religion." Meanwhile, Jesus is having his freedom in his own being. He carries it with him. He doesn't get it from some soldier. If you save your life the way that the soldier saves it, Jesus says you lose it. So it's a direct confrontation with the powers that think that you'll believe the lie that says, no, I give you freedom, not God. It's difficult for us.
Yeah, you brought up American exceptionalism too. Like the other nations don't have that same mythology about their military or about their warriors. There's a way to honor them in a way that doesn't kind of put it at that level of, you're fighting an ideal, and now we're fighting a war, we as in the United States, against an idea, like the sort of war on terror. That really is a war of terror, but that's a separate video cast, I guess. But we don't have to buy into that, but it's an effective recruiting tool, even, especially for people searching for purpose or connection or trying to get out of poverty. And at least the closest person to me who has died in, as part of the U.S. military overseas, he died in Iraq protecting an Iraqi politician during a skirmish. I mean, and towards the end of his, before he signed up for that last tour, even, he was wondering about the whole thing, but decided to go back. So, even like, I think when talking to soldiers, whether they're deployed or they're still stateside, they have a variety of ideas about what they're fighting for too, and the disenfranchisement of them is growing, and the sense of, PTSD does some terrible things, or terrible things create PTSD for people, and they are processing this. And I think at one point, you might meet resistance from some folks who would say, well, the soldiers don't agree with you. And I've actually met a lot of soldiers who do, and it's a growing movement.
Well, once you have the soldiers dying for the country, when they're dying for you, it does take on that myth. If they died for your freedom, you end up, undermining the entire value of their service, which I think is good-hearted. They meant to do good. They did mean to lay down their life and to save the country. They were told that that's what they were going to do. And the country was the primary thing that they were supposed to save, because the country saves you. It's a whole cycle. So if you actually undermine that, which we're doing with this video, it hurts people. They feel genuinely hurt that you're saying that my father, my brother died for nothing. And I say, yeah, it's a terrible delusion that we're under. It is a very persuasive myth that does get people to die for something that cannot save them. Jesus is the one who dies to save us. We don't die to save ourselves or somebody else. This is basic Christianity. So if you're a Christian and you're actually saying that someone but Jesus is going to save your life, I said, I don't know what you're talking about anymore. And you should talk to God about it. I mean, I don't need to convince you with some rationale, but you really need to talk to God. Is that what you expect me to do? Is that what it was you were talking about? That I'm supposed to lay down my life for the country and for the economic interests of the country, for the nation of the country? I don't think so. I don't think you'll find that in the Bible anywhere.
Well, this has been a really good discussion, I think. I think we've reached a lot of different conclusions, and there's a lot more to chew on and talk about. So I hope that we can engage in some dialogue. Doing so in the comment section or on Facebook might feel weird to you, but I think that's a place that we can start. But you can also take it to your cells, and the public meetings may also have opportunities for you. So I'm glad we're doing this together. Thanks for paying attention. Share this and like it and distribute it as you will. Talk to you later.